Espinosa, and I just wanted to start off by saying thank you for taking time out of your evening to come meet me tonight at our open house. I wanted to very quickly just go through a couple of key things about my classroom. Primarily, I wanted to tell you what my expectations are of how my class should be run as a whole and what the student responsibility is in my classroom. On the board behind me, you see that there is a list of things that are describing what a good student does on a regular basis. Now, just so you know, I did not write this list. My students did. I asked them this question and I just simply wrote down what their responses were. So they told me that good students typically are organized. They study, they stay on task and actually do their work. They pay attention, they take notes, they ask questions, and they check that their answers are correct. So I'm just going to take a second to go through the list and just briefly tell you how my room is designed to help the students accomplish these things on a regular basis if they were to just cooperate with what it is that I am asking them to do in my classroom every day. Organize, let's start there. My students get an agenda every day of what we are going to be accomplishing throughout the period, and I tell them things like, by the way, you have a quiz tomorrow, or remember, the test is on Friday. I will provide a running list of what equations we will be using in class, and that list stays on the board. I have a different section in my room where I am telling them what all of these letters on these equations mean. I encourage them to write their own list and keep a running list in their notes for them to use when they are doing daily work, either in the class or if they are working on an assignment at home. I have a list on the sideboard that is titled stamps. Stamps are my completion grades. And so I tell them basically these are all of the things that you should have accomplished, and they should all have a stamp on them that says that I have confirmed that you completed this particular task. And so those are just some of the little things that I have just in my classroom layout that is designed to help keep them organized. Studying, I will come back to at the very end. Staying on task and doing their work. I have certain times where students will be allowed to have their electronic devices out, listen to music, do whatever it is that they feel they need to be doing at that time, and that would include allowing them to utilize their iPad and cell phones. But then there are times where I'm going to ask that they remove all of those electronic devices, that they remove their earbuds, and the purpose of this is to help them to stay on task. It's also designed to help them pay attention, especially if I'm in the process of giving instruction, so that they can take their notes well. Being on task also includes actually doing their classwork. So their classwork in my class is a time period where students are actually encouraged to have conversation with their peers. Now, I'm very clear that conversation should be about the physics assignment. But I want them doing their work. I will maneuver around the room periodically to see if anybody needs assistance and to redirect those who maybe have been spending too much time on their devices instead of doing their work. But I do try to make sure that the students have an adequate amount of time in class, in my presence here in the classroom, to work on their assignments so that they can have the opportunity to ask for assistance. Whether they ask for assistance with me or their peers is their choice. I strongly encourage my students to collaborate with those seated around them. You may or may not have heard that they have different seats on a regular basis. The main purpose of that is to get them to learn to work well with others, whether it's somebody they consider a friend or not. I want them to have that self-confidence and that ability to work with new people. But I also want them to experience a variety of I am the one who needs help, and you were very helpful, and now I know that I can go to you in the future if I have questions. And I was the one who was able to help you. Go figure. I didn't know I was so smart. Sometimes it's cute to see them realize how smart they really are. But sometimes they are the person giving the assistance. In my opinion, that just reinforces and deepens their level of understanding what it is we're doing in the class, because I don't know if you've ever tried to teach somebody something new, but if you don't know what you're doing, how you're doing it, why you're doing it, then explaining it to others is really hard. And so I feel like that's a benefit to them. Checking their answers is something that they are expected to do, either by simply asking a neighbor, like, hey, did you get an answer to number 2? Oh, yeah? Did you get 440 meters? Okay, cool, so did I. I just want to make sure I did it right. Or they can actually check their answers. My class is unique in the sense that I allow my students, I strongly encourage my students, I expect my students to check every single answer on every single practice assignment that they do in my class. I do not take up papers and grade them every day. I don't have time. We go too fast. This is accelerated block and it's physics. Every day, students have the ability to check their work, see if their answer compares to my answer. If it doesn't, look at the work that I've done on my paper, see what it is that they did differently so that they can fix it. So these are just some of the things that I have available to my students. This is a little bit about how my classroom is designed. I also have a website where I have notes and reviews posted for everything that we will be covering all semester. So on this last topic of studying, in my opinion, if the students are doing their work every day, that's kind of like studying. What's the purpose of studying? To really get you to truly understand and remember what it is you need to know. Well, the more I practice doing this question, the more I'm going to remember how to do it. The more confident I'm going to be in knowing how to do it, the better I'm going to understand why I'm doing it this way, because I've had to do it so many times or explain it on so many different questions. I also give my students a review. The review is posted on my website. It's available even before we ever enter that chapter. So whether it's the chapter that we are in or the chapter that we're going to move into next, there is a review available right now on that website. So students can go and print that out ahead of time. But if they don't, which most of them don't, and that's okay, they will get a physical printout copy that they will have, for the most part, a day to work on. We call it our review day, and it's typically the day right before they take a test. And to me, cooperating with doing their work, participating and completing their review, confirming that their answers are correct, that is essentially serving the same purpose as sitting down and studying. Now, do students take additional time to study? I don't know. That depends. Are they finding that they know what they're doing in class? No, they probably don't spend time studying. Are they finding that they got that whole assignment wrong and they had somebody explain it to them one more time before they left class, and so now they probably need to look over it a little bit more to make sure they really get it? Then hopefully they have that feedback from their experience in my class, and they actually go and spend some extra time studying. So I just wanted to go over a few things. Please, by all means, ask me if you have questions about how to access my website, how to maneuver through my website in order to get the various resources that I have available. If at any time you have questions or concerns about my class or your particular student, please feel free to contact me. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you have. And if we have a situation where your student is not being successful, let's talk about what is happening, what is not happening, so that you and I can tag team in trying to get that particular student focused and back on track so that they can be passing my class. Thank you again so much for taking time to meet me tonight, and I hope you guys have a wonderful evening.